The Tesla offices in Palo Alto buzzed with energy as engineers crowded around sleek prototypes, their voices blending with the hum of machinery. Among them was Liam, a man in his late 30s whose tired eyes hinted at a story far more complex than his colleagues could imagine. To his colleagues, Liam appeared diligent and focused, a picture of quiet determination. But appearances can be deceiving beneath that calm exterior. His life was unraveling. Liam's struggles were not something he shared openly. His challenges were a hidden burden, a storm he faced alone. At home, rent notices cluttered the kitchen counter, stark reminders of their mounting troubles. His wife's recent surgery had drained their savings, leaving them stranded. Now, the threat of eviction loomed large, a shadow growing darker with every passing day. Despite it all, Liam arrived at work each morning, maintaining a facade of determination. His colleagues admired his work ethic, unaware of the silent struggles he bore. Every paycheck was a lifeline, barely enough to hold his family together. But no matter how hard Liam worked, the gap between their needs and his resources seemed impossible to bridge. This day started like many others. Liam sat at his desk, nursing a lukewarm cup of coffee, and as he reviewed the day's tasks, his mind, however, was elsewhere. The overdue rent, the landlord's last warning, and the impending eviction notice all clouded his thoughts. His heart sank every time he thought about his 9-year-old daughter, Mia. Her wide eyes sparkled with innocence, but Liam knew she could sense the tension at home. He tried to shield her, but the cracks in their life were becoming harder to conceal. What Liam didn't realize was that this day, ordinary in every other sense, would set into motion events that would change everything. Liam had always been resilient, juggling the demands of his job and family with quiet strength, but lately the balance felt impossible to maintain. His wife, Elena, was recovering from a surgery that had left her unable to work. Oh man, she tried to remain optimistic, her words of encouragement ringing hollow against the mounting pressure. The eviction notice taped to the fridge was a constant reminder of their precarious reality. Liam had placed it there as a motivator, a symbol of the fight he couldn't afford to lose. Yet, every day it seemed to mock his efforts. He had sold their second car, eliminated every unnecessary expense, and taken on extra shifts whenever possible. But even these sacrifices weren't enough. Maya, the light of his life, had overheard too many whispered conversations late at night. Evening, she presented Liam with a jar of coins she had collected. For the bills, she said quietly, her voice filled with innocent determination. The gesture shattered Liam's heart. Smiling through the tears, he tucked her into bed, promising her that things would get better. But deep down, he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. As rejection emails from potential side gigs piled up, Liam felt the walls closing in. Even at Tesla, where he was respected for his attention to detail, the pressure to perform was immense. He worried that his personal struggles might begin to affect his work. Liam clung to the hope that a break would come a chance to turn things around, but time was not on his side. The landlord had made it clear. Without payment by the end of the month, they would be forced to leave. The thought of uprooting Maya from the only home she'd ever known kept Liam awake at night. Just when it seemed like hope was slipping away, a company-wide event offered an unexpected reprieve. Tesla was celebrating its latest advancements, and employees were invited to a gathering in a large, modern conference space filled with futuristic prototypes. Liam attended out of obligation, knowing that skipping the event could draw unwanted attention. He wore his best shirt, an old gift from Elena, and tried to blend into the crowd. His daughter, Mia, was allowed to accompany him, a rare exception for employees with young children. She clutched his hand tightly, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the bustling room filled with gleaming cars and animated conversations. Her presence was a small comfort to Liam, a reminder of what he was fighting for. Elon Musk arrived shortly after the event began, his charismatic presence commanding attention. As he addressed the room, speaking about innovation and resilience, Liam struggled to focus. Elon's words about pushing boundaries and overcoming challenges felt distant, almost irrelevant to the battles Liam was facing. After the speech, the attendees were encouraged to mingle. Liam stayed on the fringes, quietly observing as Maya wandered through the room, her curiosity piqued by the dazzling displays. In a moment that would change everything, Maya released Liam's hand and approached Elon Musk. Her small voice cut through the crowd. "Excuse me, Mr. Musk." The room fell silent as she stood before Tesla's CEO, her presence both bold and tender. Liam froze, his heart pounding as he realized what was happening. Elon knelt slightly to meet Maya's gaze, a kind smile softening his features. "Hi there. What's your name?" he asked. "I'm Mia," she said confidently. "My dad works really hard here, but we're about to lose our home. Can you help us?" A stunned silence swept over the room. Liam's stomach sank as he watched, a mix of embarrassment and desperation washing over him. He took a step forward, ready to intervene, but Elon raised a hand, signaling him to stay. "Well, Mia," Elon said, his tone gentle and measured, "why don't you tell me more?" Maya hesitated, glancing back at her father for reassurance. Liam gave her a small nod, his face a mixture of apology and pride. My mom's been sick, Maya explained, and my dad is doing his best, but it's really hard right now. A sincerity in her voice cut through the polished atmosphere of the event. Elon's expression softened further as he listened, his gaze unwavering. The room, once buzzing with excitement, was now grounded in a moment of raw humanity. The courage it took for Mia to speak up struck a chord not only with Elon, but with everyone present. Elon knelt down, his voice kind yet steady. "Thank you for telling me," he said. Turning to Liam, he added, "Let's talk." What followed was a gesture of generosity that would leave a lasting impact. Elon ensured that Liam's family received immediate financial assistance to keep their home. But more than that, he used the moment to advocate for expanded support systems within Tesla, aiming to help employees facing personal crises. For Liam, it was a lifeline that went beyond the financial relief. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, courage and kindness could ignite change. As the event concluded, its impact reverberated across Tesla. Liam's story became a beacon of resilience and compassion, inspiring a culture of empathy among employees. And for Mia, her simple act of bravery taught everyone in the room a powerful lesson. Sometimes the smallest voices can make the biggest difference. The air in the conference room seemed to thicken with anticipation as Elon Musk straightened up, his piercing gaze briefly meeting Liam's before returning to Maya. In that moment, the grand corporate event transformed into something profoundly personal. "Your dad sounds like a remarkable man," Elon said, his voice steady yet filled with sincerity. "It takes immense strength to persevere during tough times, and it takes even greater courage for someone like you to stand up and speak for him." Liam felt rooted to the spot, his emotions swirling between pride, embarrassment, and an overwhelming sense of gratitude. His face flushed as he glanced at Mia, her small hands clutching his tightly. He couldn't decide whether to pull her into his arms or apologize to Elon for the interruption. But Elon didn't appear irritated. If anything, he seemed thoughtful. "Stay right here," Elon said gently, turning away from Maya and gesturing to his assistant. A quiet conversation ensued, their voices low and inaudible to those around them. After a moment, Elon nodded, his expression firm, and walked back toward Liam and Maya with purpose. Standing before Liam, he extended his hand. "You a brave daughter," he said, his tone unwavering. "And it sounds like you've been through more than your share of challenges. Consider this a little help to get back on your feet." Liam stared at the folded piece of paper Elon placed in his trembling hand, his mind struggling to process what was happening. As he opened it, his breath hitched. It was a check for $50,000. A wave of gasp rippled through the room, but Liam barely noticed. His vision blurred as tears filled his eyes. I don't know what to say," he stammered, his voice breaking. "Thank you doesn't seem like enough." "You don't need to say anything," Elon replied simply, a small smile softening his usually stoic demeanor. "And just take care of your family. That's what matters most." Liam's emotions surged uncontrollably. Gratitude, disbelief, and relief collided in his chest. He bent down, pulling Mia into a tight embrace. "Thank you, baby," he whispered into her hair, his voice thick with emotion. She looked up at him, her eyes shining with pride and joy. As applause erupted around the room, some attendees discreetly wiped away their own tears. Elon raised a hand, signaling for quiet. "It's easy to forget that we're all human," he addressed the crowd. "Helping someone in need doesn't take away from us. It lifts us all. Let's remember that." But the impact of the moment stretched beyond Liam and Maya. What followed would ignite a wave of reflection and change across Tesla's culture. For Liam, the experience felt surreal. Standing there holding the check as if it might vanish, he could hardly breathe. The applause around him felt distant, like a dream. But the weight of the gesture, what it truly meant, grounded him. It wasn't just the financial relief. It was the acknowledgement, the validation of his struggles, and the reminder that someone had seen his pain and cared enough to act. Maya, still wrapped in his arms, looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. Did we win, Dad?" she whispered, her voice tender, yet piercing. Liam chuckled softly, brushing a tear from his cheek. "Yes, sweetheart, we won." As the crowd began to disperse, Liam felt a firm hand on his shoulder. Turning, he saw his supervisor, Mark, a man known for his pragmatic and often detached demeanor. Yet now his expression was warm, almost apologetic. "Liam, I didn't know," Mark said, his voice quiet but earnest. "If you ever need anything, come to me. Don't go through this alone again, okay?" Liam nodded, unable to trust his voice. The shame he had carried for so long began to lift, replaced by a new, fragile sense of hope. Colleagues he barely knew approached him, offering kind words, encouragement, and promises of support. It was overwhelming, but in the best possible way. Later that evening, as Liam sat at the small kitchen table in his modest apartment, he unfolded the check, once more staring at the numbers as though they might vanish. His wife, Elena, sat across from him, her hand resting lightly on his. "Oh, this changes everything," she said softly, her voice filled with a mix of relief and disbelief. "It does," Liam replied, his voice steady. "But it's not just the money, it's what it represents. Reminder that no matter how hard things get, there's always someone willing to help. We're not alone." The story of Elon's gesture quickly spread through Tesla's corridors, becoming the talk of the company. Employees who hadn't attended the event heard about it from colleagues, and soon it was a topic of discussion in meetings, lunchrooms, and online forums. It wasn't just about the $50,000. It was about the humanity behind the act. For many, it sparked deeper conversations about the challenges employees faced beyond the workplace. Stories began to surface. Single parents juggling childcare and demanding schedules, employees burdened by medical bills, those quietly caring for family members with disabilities. These stories, once kept private, now found a space to be shared. And with that sharing came a sense of solidarity and understanding. Tesla's air department received a flood of suggestions. Employees proposed creating a hardship fund to support colleagues in financial crises. Others suggested mentorship programs, flexible work hours, and wellness initiatives that extended beyond the office. The story of Liam and Mia had sparked something powerful. The realization that a workplace could be more than just a place to earn a paycheck. It could be a community. Elon addressed the growing momentum in a company-wide email. True to his direct style, he wrote, "We build cars that change the world, but what good is that if we don't care for the people building them? Let's make sure Tesla stands for innovation and compassion." The email resonated deeply. Over the following weeks, Tesla rolled out new initiatives aimed at supporting its employees. The hardship fund became a reality with voluntary contributions from staff and matching donations from the company. Mental health resources were expanded, and supervisors received training to recognize signs of burnout or distress among their teams. For Liam, watching these changes unfold was humbling. He never intended to be at the center of such a movement, but seeing how his story inspired others filled him with quiet pride. And what had begun as a single act of kindness had grown into something much larger, a shift in culture, a reminder that even in high-pressure environments, people could and should look out for one another. The most profound change, however, wasn't in policies or programs. It was in the way people treated each other. Conversations became more genuine. Empathy replaced indifference. Colleagues began to see one another not just as co-workers, but as the individuals with lives and struggles beyond the office walls. And in that shared humanity, a stronger, more compassionate community was born. Liam had always been a man of quiet resilience, but life had pushed him to the edge. When Elon Musk extended a helping hand, it wasn't just a check that Liam received, it was a lifeline. As the weight of overdue bills lifted and the looming fear of eviction disappeared, Liam felt a shift, not only in his circumstances, but deep within himself. The constant stress that had defined his days gave way to a newfound sense of possibility, and with it came awakening of belief in himself, in others, and in the power of compassion. Back at work, the changes were subtle but profound. Colleagues who once offered only polite nods now stopped to ask about his family, their inquiries genuine and heartfelt. Mark, his supervisor, began checking in more frequently, ensuring Liam wasn't overwhelmed. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt seen. The walls of isolation he had built over the years, out of necessity and self-preservation, began to crumble. In their place emerged connections he hadn't realized he'd been missing. At home, the transformation was just as striking. Maya, his young daughter, radiated a newfound confidence. Her courage in speaking up that day at the Tesla event had not only changed their lives, but had also altered how she saw herself. One evening, as she worked on a school project, she glanced up at Liam and asked, "Dad, do you think I'll ever do something that important again?" Liam knelt beside her, his voice steady with conviction. "Mia, what you did wasn't about being important. It was about speaking from your heart. If you keep doing that, you'll make a difference every single day." Elena, his wife, seemed lighter too, her health. Once a constant source of worry was improving, the family began to dream again. Conversations that had once felt impossible were now part of their daily lives, weekend trips, saving for Maya's education, even talking about one day owning a home. These weren't just idle fantasies anymore. They were plans rooted in a newfound sense of hope. Liam realized the most significant lesson wasn't about financial stability or material comfort. It was about the courage to ask for help and the profound impact of compassion and community. He often thought back to how close he had been to losing everything. In an act of kindness, it turned his world around, and it taught him enduring truth. Everyone carries unseen struggles, and sometimes the smallest gesture can transform a life. Determined to pay it forward, Liam became an active participant in Tesla's new mentorship program, sharing his story with younger employees. He offered guidance and encouragement to those just starting their journeys. He also contributed regularly to the company's hardship fund, quietly helping colleagues navigate their own challenges. His life had taken on a new purpose. It was no longer about merely surviving, it was about thriving and helping others do the same. At the heart of it all was Maya, who embraced the lessons of kindness and empathy her family had learned. She began organizing charity drives at school and went out of her way to welcome new classmates. Always now, each small act reflected the values Liam and Elena had worked hard to instill in her. Watching their daughter grow into a compassionate and confident young girl filled them with pride. Back at Tesla, the ripple effects of Liam's story were undeniable. The hardship fund mentorship programs and wellness initiatives were now integral to the company's culture. Employees didn't just work for innovation. They worked for one another. A sense of unity and purpose permeated the organization, making it stronger and more connected than ever before. One night, as Liam tucked Mia into bed, she asked a question that lingered in his mind long after she drifted off to sleep. "Dad, do you think Mr. Musk knows how much he helped us?" Liam sat on the edge of her bed, thoughtful. "I think he does, sweetheart. But what matters more is what we've learned from him, that we should always help others when we can." Things that become a lasting reminder, so kindness can ripple across countless lives, and for Mia, it planted a seed of compassion that would shape her future. In a world that often moves too fast, this moment reaffirmed the enduring power of empathy. Together, they proved that no challenge is insurmountable when people stand together. That night, as Liam watched Mia peacefully asleep, she asked him a question he would never forget. "Do you think Mr. Musk knows how much he helped us?" Liam sat down by her bedside, his gaze distant yet thoughtful. "I think he does, sweetheart," he replied. "But what's more important is what we've learned from him. That no matter the circumstances, we should always help others whenever we can." As Liam sat alone in the quiet room later that evening, he realized that his story wasn't just about the help he had received from Elon Musk. It had rippled through Tesla and beyond, becoming a symbol of unity and compassion in the face of life's toughest challenges. At Tesla, Liam's story was no longer just a personal journey. It had planted the seeds of a new culture, one where people didn't just work towards shared goals, but also stood by one another. What happened that day reminded everyone that in a world that often moves too fast, empathy remains one of the most enduring strengths. Looking at his daughter, Liam believed that the events of that day would not stop with them. Maya, with her courage and a heart full of kindness, would carry those lessons forward, sowing the seeds for a generation that understands the value of living for others. He's in Liam, like everyone who had witnessed the story, came to understand a simple yet profound truth. Sometimes all it takes is a helping hand at the right moment to create ripples that can change a life forever. Thank you so much for watching this story. If it touched your heart or gave you a moment to reflect, I'd truly appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the amazing and inspiring stories I have coming up. Together, let's keep spreading kindness, empathy, and hope one story at a time. See you in the next video.